Welcome to today's video. So today I have a question here from Chetan. And he has a question regarding observing and suppressing thoughts. So he's a little worried about these practices. Am I suppressing thought? Am I avoiding reality? So let me just condense this really big post for you. So he basically says, I've been practicing yoga and meditation for the last 2 years. I'm much better than before. I know I'm not my thoughts and emotions. They come and go. They're changeable. And I'm the watcher who reacts upon thoughts. So my main concern, if an unwanted thought comes, then am I observing it or suppressing it? So the first part of this is how he deals with thought. So the first part is an unwanted thought comes and he pays attention to it without adding anything from his side. He keeps it in his awareness and watches it. Now, Chetan, you are saying if I do this, then my anxiety increases. Is this observing thoughts? I have a question here also. As a thought comes, then it has gone. It is me who pays attention to it. Am I holding it by watching it in my awareness? So this is the first part about observing thoughts. And this is something that there's widespread confusion about. What does it mean to observe thoughts? And this can be a little subtle, so you can't just listen to what I'm saying and accept it as true. You really have to play around with it in your experience, and you have to sit with it maybe a few times. You have to repeatedly see what I'm saying in order to confirm for yourself in your experience that is true. So please, after you hear this, practice. Now, when we say observe thoughts, it's quite funny because when you try to observe thoughts, the moment you observe, you are intently observing thought. There's no thought to observe. Have you ever found that to be quite funny? To observe thought does not mean to keep thinking the same thought, because that is thinking. You're not observing, you're thinking. But let's say a thought arises and you try to observe it. Observe your next thought. Observing meaning looking, seeing. Perhaps even you standing there trying to wait for your next thought that you can observe, no thought comes. But then maybe a thought automatically comes and you try to observe it and it vanishes. All that remains is you're observing, you being aware. So you see, this is the funny part about observing thoughts. When you actually are in the mode of consciously observing, there is no thought to observe. This is because when you think, it is a contracted observation. It is an observation with a conceptual filter. Thought is awareness with limits, awareness with filter. It is you putting on a costume, a lens through which you see life. Whereas, when you consciously observe, that limit, that lens, that suit, aka that thought, drops away. And it is a more expansive, expanded seeing, in which there's no conceptual filter. This, I invite you to play around with your experience in a lot and confirm this for yourself. You can't both be consciously aware and be thinking at the same time. Usually what is meant by learn to observe your thoughts means to sort of step outside and acknowledge the tendency of mind, or what the current theme of your thinking was about. It's not necessarily to think about your thinking or describe or interpret what was being thought, but it's just to acknowledge that this is what was being thought at this time. And it's not like you're speaking this to yourself, you're just being aware of it. But once more, the moment you become aware, the moment you step outside, you are no longer thinking. So play around with these two. This is what it really means to observe thought. If you actually keep thinking the same thought over and over again, of course, it's going to increase your anxiety. that's not the right practice. If you keep thinking, you're just going to become more anxious. The main thing that I would ask you to do with anxiety is learn to observe the physical sensation of anxiety. Bring your attention away from what is making you anxious and whatnot, from the mental story, and bring your attention to the physical sensations, the feelings of anxiety. I have a whole practice on this. I have a free mini course that I'll link down below. Watch that if this is something that you need help with. Because what that will do is that will diminish your anxiety, both mentally and right on the bodily level, which you feel as constant feelings of fear and anxiousness. Okay, so the second part of your question is regarding suppression. So just to distill it for you, the question is about turning away from thought, right? Letting go of thought. Don't encounter it with other thoughts or try to solve this unwanted thought. And you are worried. You say, I have a doubt. If I don't react in any way and they go away, is this considered suppression of thoughts? Because I'm not doing anything to the thought, just bringing attention away from it. So is bringing attention away from thought a suppressing of that thought? Now, I invite you to acknowledge how this concern, this doubt, and look at the purpose of this thought. What this thought is trying to do is protect thinking. It's trying to make you fearful of silent being. It's making you feel that, I need to constantly keep thinking in order to be safe. There's a beautiful quote by Nisargadatta Maharaj from the book I Am That. He said, that which argues for the mind's survival is the mind itself. Think about that for a moment. The mind argues for the mind's own perpetuation, its own survival. So during this practice of meditation, this whole spiritual journey, you have to be very alert about that. The mind will continue to create many conceptual doubts and confusions, complexities. And you have to make sure that you don't just you just don't fall for them. You have to remain alert, and you have to continue turning away from even those doubts. Turning away from these ideas, and that's all they are, ideas. They have no reality. Turning away from them is not a suppression. For what are you suppressing? Do you see? If it was something real, for example, let's say something actual, like a sensation, a physical sensation of fear, right? The actual physical sensation of anger. I would not ask you to turn away from it. I would actually ask you to look at it and allow it and feel it. Why? Because there's nothing conceptual about this sensation. It is here for this time, for this moment. Whereas the thought, the arising of the thought is actual because it is also here in this moment, but the content of it, meaning what it says, what it proposes, is entirely conceptual. It has no reality. It is not even actual. It is entirely fantasy stuff. It has no reality whatsoever. It is only an idea. So by the mind constantly proposing these ideas and you turning away from them, what are you suppressing exactly? Ideas that don't exist in the first place? Do you see? This is why turning away from thought is not suppression. It is simply you learning to take back your own power. Because right now your power is being scattered into these fake ideas, these conceptual ideas. And these conceptual ideas are what comprise our entire self-image, our entire idea of the world. They keep us hooked into a false idea, a false view of who I am and what the world is. And that there arises suffering. So by learning to turn away from compulsive thoughts, doubts, fears, all these things, which keep you in conceptual reality, illusion, you're not suppressing anything. you're taking the fuel away from the mind. You're taking the life force of the illusion, which is your attention, your interest, away. And what you start to discover is life without ideas. What you start to discover is who you are without any conceptual framework. By learning to turn away from the mind, you discover that which is prior to thought. Yes, so this is not a suppression. You have nothing to be afraid of. The mind is afraid. Turn away from even those thoughts. Any feeling you feel into it, allow it. Just be with it. Let it be and let it go. But thoughts, during moments of practice, have a certain intensity where you just turn away. All right? Now, how to put this into practice? I have 2 free mini courses for you. One is on how to start your meditation practice and go deeper into it. And second is emotional mastery and letting go. How to observe these feelings without resisting them and running away from them. If you're going through anxiety and compulsive thinking, you need both. I'm going to link down my free support group down below where you will get access to both of these courses, along with an amazing community of like-minded people who are focused in this work. Over there, you can connect with all of us, and you can submit questions for future videos like this. Every week, I pick a few questions from there, and that's where these videos come from. So please join that. I'll link it down below. That's all for this video. I really hope it helped. Please hit the thumbs up underneath this video. Subscribe to this channel if you want more videos like this. I will see you next time. Bye.